Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Big Booty Judy with my special sped sidekick, Humble Rumble. Humble, are you ready to get it on?
I thought you'd never ask.
Humble, you know I'm talking about tanks, right?
Yeah, what else would you be talking about?
Thank God, because there'll be no more Marvin Gaye crap in this video.
Let's blow some tanks up!
This is Back to Basics Episode 2. Today we're going to learn about armor, how to penetrate, and different shell types. So go grab a mouthful of your partner's Valentine's Day chocolate, sit back, and let's get back to basics.
Great, so let's jump right in. Today's theme is going to be armor, which begs the question, what is armor?
Armor is defense. Armor is protection. Knowing where you're protected and where you're not can really help you make better decisions in the game.
And does it vary by tank type?
Yes, there are 4 different tank types in Blitz. If you will get in game and click on the filter tab down in the lower left, you will see that the diamond shaped, those are your light tanks. Those have very little armor. You really don't need to be up front in those tanks. I mean, yes to spot, but get out of there because you have very little protection. And then up next, you have the diamond with the slash. Those are your medium tanks. Those have a little more armor. Then you have your heavy tanks, your bad boys, the ones that are harder to take down. Those are your most protected tanks to play. Then you'll click over and you'll see the upside down triangle. Those are your TDs, and it just depends on what line that you go down with TDs, because some are have very, very little protection, and then others like your T95, they are really hard to take down. So yes, every type is different.
Okay, but does every tank fit the characteristics of its type?
No, there are exceptions. This is just kind of a general rule of thumb.
Do the shapes vary much?
Yes, which is why it's important to know what your tank looks like.
And are there any key features of the tanks that we should be paying extra attention to?
Your lower plate, and if you have any hatches or bubbles on top of your tank.
What makes those so important?
The lower plate and the hatches and bubbles, those are the weaker spots of your tank. They're very weak, and if you have an experienced player on red, they're going to know that. And if you're not protecting yourself and protecting those areas, they're going to shoot you and they're going to take you out. A good example of a bubble, because it sounds a little odd, on top of a tank is the Tier 6 ARL V39, the French TD. This tank is a hunk of junk. It's got a great gun, but you see that big old bubble on there? Woo! Yeah, they're going to hit you. It's very hard to protect it, and you're going to die, so get ready.
Is that why I keep getting blown up?
No, that's because you YOLO.
All right, so then how do we figure out the armor?
All right, on the armor, I'm going to scroll over to the KV1S to show you this. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the upgrade button. It is next to battle. It's to the right of that. You're going to click on that, and it's going to pull up right here on the right side. You're going to see protection. You're going to see that the strongest point of this tank is going to be in your turret, and it's important to remember this, that these numbers here, they are the strongest point of your armor. So right here, like the turret on this, the front of the turret is 100 millimeters thick. So that's you can kind of gauge how to play this tank. My turret is the strongest, therefore I should play hull down. I mean, you don't have to, but you can, and you're going to do very well playing hull down in this tank. And we're going to go over hull down, side scraping, all that in a later video. So we'll definitely explain all that business. But
Just to clarify, does that mean that it's 100 millimeters thick all the way across the front of the turret?
no, it's just the strongest portion. There are still going to be weak spots on the front that can be exploited.
Oh, great. So about these weak spots, now that we have a basic understanding of armor, why don't you tell us about these weak spots and what are some ways that we can exploit them?
You mean how to penetrate? Let me show you.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies.
All right, guys, we're going to begin with the simplest way to penetrate. First and foremost, aim! Let your reticle shrink all the way down and don't snapshot. Secondly, shoot the gray areas. Stay away from the red. Red is bad. Your shells will bounce. They won't go through. Red is bad, bad, bad. Remember that. The gray area has the highest likelihood of your round penetrating. You also need to understand that a random number generator, RNG, is involved with penetration, which is pretty much just a fancy way of saying chance is involved. This is important because just because you're likely to pin, it doesn't mean you always will. All right, so let's say you can't pin with AP. Switch your ammo over to Pramo. With Pramo, you are more likely to pin. You will do less damage, but less damage is better than no damage at all. So there's going to be times that AP and Pramo don't work, that you can't pin with them. And what you do is you switch over to HE. HE, it doesn't just give you a chance at a high roll. There's so many uses for HE. You can reset cap with HE. You can track people with HE. You can back off opponents. I mean, it's great.
What do you mean by back off opponents?
All right, so let's say you have a red in front of you, and I mean you popping him. You popping him with AP. You popping him with Pramo. Nothing's happening. What you do is you switch over to HE. And even though, you know, frontally you're not going to hit him for a lot, that's all right. That's all right. Because what's going to happen with most players is you're going to hit him, and all he sees is, oh my God, I'm taking damage. I'm taking damage. I got to get out of here. And he's going to back off. It's great. Do it. I know even with tanks that have a long reload, sometimes that's your only choice is to pop them with HE to get them to back off. And like I was saying, you need to remember that when you're shooting HE, it has a low pen value. Unlike the other ammo types like AP and APCR, you can do damage even if you can't pen. It still does damage if you can't pen. Remember that. And then also when you switch from, you know, AP, Pramo, whatever, to HE, the colors change. It changes from red to orange. That being said, listen to my words. Gray is still good. The lighter the orange is, or if there isn't any orange at all, that just means you have a great chance for a full damage roll. So aim for the gray if it's there, all right? HE is also great for tracking. What tracking is shooting around into the wheels that support the tracks, all right? That's tracking. What it does, what tracking is it keeps the reds in place. They can't move unless they have a repair kit. And if they repair, boom, hit them again, because a lot of times people don't bring double repair kits, and it takes a while. So anyways, the best thing that you can do is to try to track them out in the open. If you can do that, even though you can't pin them, maybe your teammates can. And hopefully you'll have a good team that'll be there with you, and you track them, boom, and everybody shoots him. And then what happens is you get assisted damage because he's tracked. See? Win-win, win-win. HE can be very useful to help track those hard-to-pin heavies or do massive, massive damage rolls to the mediums and the lights. Man, you pop a light tank with HE and burn, baby, burn. You just watch all his health go whoop. It's freaking fantastic. These are some basic tips to help you.
Blow up some tanks!
Great. Thank you, Judy, for teaching us how to penetrate. Now let's examine the different types of ammunition that we find in Blitz. As a general concept, the ammunition and rounds fall into three separate categories: standard, premium, and HE. Standard, you're going to rely on the most, and it's at the top of your ammo loadout screen in your garage. The premium round is the round that you switch to when you can't penetrate or you want to do a little bit of extra damage if it's an HE, premium HE round. And that's in the middle. And your high explosive, which is your niche round, that's at the bottom. The first mostly standard round, or round that is most usually standard, is AP, or armored penetrating. It's the average Joe of ammunition, and it has average pen, average damage. I got the average cost, all around just your average Joe Schmo of ammo. Following that up is APCR, or armor piercing composite rigid. It's essentially a more rigid, a stiffer round that flies faster and tends to have more penetration. It's usually premium, which means you're going to get higher pen, but 10 to 15% lower damage. And because it's a premium round, it's going to have a higher cost. The next round we're going to look at is HE, or high explosive. It's got low penetration but a high damage potential. It's also got the lowest velocity in the game, which means that at long distances, you're going to need to lead your targets a little bit further. It explodes on contact, which means it won't go through obstacles, so you can't shoot tanks with HE through boxes or fences or other obstacles. What it is unique about it is that you can shoot tanks and do damage to crew and modules without actually penetrating them, which means that you can force a repair kit out of the reds without actually having to do major damage. The fourth round we're going to look at is Heat, or High Explosive Anti-Tank, which is another mostly premium round. It's got the higher pen of premium, but it's also got the 10 to 15% lower damage. It's got that lower velocity because it still is a style of HE, so you're going to need to lead your targets again. And then finally, what's unique about Heat is that it doesn't lose any sort of penetration over long ranges or over any distance. The final round is unique to British Tier 9 and Tier 10 tanks, called HESH, or High Explosive Squash Head, and it's got it's a high penetration HE round. It's got a massive learning curve, but can be a lot of fun. Now that we know the different styles of rounds, Judy, we can...
blow up some tanks?
Yeah, blow up some tanks!
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Do it! Just do it!
These are some basic tips to help you. These are some... Oh my god! These are some basic tips to help you. Oh shit!
All right, blow up some tanks, blow up some tanks, blow up some tanks. All right, I got it.
All right.